contents of this box are very, very exciting, and you guys already know what's in here. So let's not delay it any further and get right on into opening this updated titanium crank box. No going back at this point. We got the top-down camera. Oh, just kidding. It opens that way. I'm an idiot. I'm delaying it even further. You guys already know what's in this box. There's a little bit of backstory behind it. So you saw in my bike build that I have the RNC solid titanium cranks. And with that, Ryan at RNC BMX has been hard at work on his cranks, continuously improving them. And with that continuous improvement comes these right here. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, how about a tease there? There we go. So here we have a crank arm, and we'll just show this off for the people who haven't seen the titanium cranks yet. Right here, baby. Solid titanium crank with machining out of a solid piece of titanium. These things are beautiful, but you've already seen this part. Let's get to the part you haven't seen. Where can I set this? Right here. To the part that you haven't seen yet, right here. So, there have been some updates to these cranks. As you guys know, I'm reviewing these cranks in a video. Review process is ongoing now, especially because of this update here. Wow, that's cool. So you might notice that I'm holding like more than just a crank arm. It's got the spindle attached to it. That is because RNC BMX is only going to be making two-piece cranks from now on. So you can see here, spindle goes into this crank and it's welded right here to keep it in place, pressed together. The reason for this is continuous improvement. The difficulty in making cranks that perfectly line up with each other whenever you do this with 48 spline is very, very hard. And with the process that it can take to make that happen, there can be some crank arm wobble as a result. Now I want to reiterate here, and as I said in my previous video, every single person who I've ever heard has had an issue with crank arm wobble with these cranks has had it taken care of by Ryan at RNC BMX. That's great for the person, great for the consumer, but for Ryan at RNC BMX, this can be a bit of a distraction from taking care of new and future customers by having to go back and make things right with previous customers because of crank arm wobble. So he was moved to this two-piece design, which not only makes it easier to line things up perfectly with the cranks themselves, but it also makes it a lot less likely that you're going to run into crank arm wobble with these cranks. So that, along with the fact that the sprocket bolt, as you guys saw in my previous video, was a little bit off and I had to file my sprocket to get it on there, that has also been changed with the RNC cranks. The sprocket bolt holes are now in the proper place for modern day BMX sprockets, which means you shouldn't have to run into filing issues anymore. We're going to test that whenever we put it on my bike. But yeah, I wanted to show these for you guys, show that there's been updates, and since I'm reviewing these and Ryan is only making two-piece cranks moving forward, it doesn't make any sense for me to review a three-piece crank that you guys can't buy. It makes sense for me to review the current product that is available out there. So you guys can check these out at rncbmx.com. Prices all stayed the same. $420 for the raw cranks, $460 for any color of cranks. So there's the information you have there. They're available in a bunch of different sizes, as well as both bolt-on and spline drive sprocket options. The two-piece, you may have to use bolt-on on the side that is welded here. So I'm not sure if he's going to be doing left or right-hand specific drive versions of that. I'm sure if you reach out to them, he will let you know. But either way, let's take a closer look at these cranks. The two-piece design, you can see the weld here. You can see the sprocket bolt hole. These cranks are awesome. The welding or machining is so rad. Now we've got the spindle integrated into this side. Slide this on here. It's probably going to take a little bit of force the first time we do it, but I'm excited to get these onto my new bike. And that's going to be the next thing that we're going to do here. We're going to take off the other ones and put these on. So I think that's all of the information we have. So let's just get to putting them on the bike. All right, so I've went ahead and taken off my pedals, loosened my wheel, and got my chain loose already. So that all we have to do here is take off the current cranks and put on the new ones. Loosen up the bolt. Okay, one bolt down. Slide off the sprocket. Do not lose our spacers because we're gonna need those. We can take our sprocket bolt out. I'll set that aside and just do that, so you don't have to sit through that part of things. Now we'll pull out our other side. We're gonna need all these same spacers as well, so we're gonna set these aside too, making sure to keep them organized. And actually, I guess I could just leave this part the way that it is. Then we can grab our cranks here, grab them out. It is the left side that is welded, so what I need to do here is grab my spacers for the left side and pre-install them, because then this side goes straight into the bottom bracket. As soon as we get the bottom bracket spacer lined up, there we go, all the way through, and always got a rag handy. So next, we want to make sure that we've got our poly lube. Actually, this isn't next. What's actually next is grabbing our spacers, poly lube, and making sure we grease up this spline real good, or this spindle, not spline. Grease up the spindle real nice. And next is the time where we find out if the sprocket bolt hole is in the correct location. So since the sprocket that was on my bike is the one that I filed down, I grabbed a different one here to show you guys that when you line up the spindle or the hole on the sprocket, you can see that the sprocket bolt hole lines up perfectly. And just for confirmation here, let's put the bolt into the hole and show you guys. There we go. And as you can see here, things are lined up, and if we wanted to install this onto the spindle right now, we could. But this isn't the sprocket that I want onto this bike, so we're going to take this bolt back out and put on the sprocket that I had on it. Now, another important step here after checking focus, because focus is very important, is to grease up the crank itself as well. Take the poly lube from Park Tool, and we're going to put plenty inside the crank arm. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I did this part already and I'm refilming it, so there's plenty in there already. There's plenty on that spindle, so we're just going to install it now. Lining up the 48 spline spindle and crank, and they are perfectly aligned. So can we tighten it now? I don't want to do any kind of thread stripping. That would suck. I think we're good. Well, that tightened down pretty quickly. Spacing is good. And make sure we're straight. Looks like it to me. Yes, sir. Let's get this chain back on here before we scratch up this beautiful frame. And now we can replace our pedals wherever they might be, and we are done. I am super excited about these. I'm excited that the sprocket bolt hole is where it's supposed to be now, so that issue will not be an issue anymore. The wobble of the cranks will not be something that Ryan or any customer has to deal with. I'm excited. Continuous improvement is a good thing. Recognizing that there are things that need to be improved upon is a good thing. And the fact that Ryan is just trying to continue to make his product better shows that you can have confidence in it. And there are some pretty well-respected people riding his cranks. R. Willie just posted on Instagram today that he just got his super light cranks. Marcus Christopher rides them. Daniel Dares is going to be riding them in the Olympics. This is good stuff. So, two-piece RNC titanium cranks installed on my bike. I'm super excited about it. I will mess with the rest of this stuff later. I hope you guys found this useful. There's really not a lot of differences here other than the fact that they're two-piece now. One side is welded and you don't have to worry about crank wobble. So that being said, check out RNC BMX in the description down below. Let me know if you guys have bought the two-piece yet. If you already have the three-piece, you're considering the two-piece or anything like that. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below as well. And hopefully, if you're new here or you haven't yet, you'll hit the subscribe button while you're down there. And we'll see you tomorrow for another video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and see you tomorrow. Look forward to my review in a couple months, I guess.